Increased alert for the main powerful rank. Well, what everyone expected has happened. People with weapons are already rising up against the draft authorities. It's unknown whether these are AWOL soldiers, those who ran away from their unit or military base while on leave. But in short, the fact remains. And here we have a video with characters who are manhunters. And it turns out they can run very fast. But they don't want to be hunted themselves. Now that's a twist. Many different things are happening here. A lot of different words, a lot of gunshots. There's violence. You can watch this whole video. It's short. You can check it out on my channel. Point your phone or tablet camera at this QR code and you'll go straight to my channel. Or if you're watching me from a mobile device. Right below the video, there's a link to the Telegram channel. Click it and you'll end up there too. And of course, there's a lot more there than just one single video. So what's next? And then more... Тут в основном молодые люди, девушки, одну девушку вчера. But now there's this kind of character. He supports the war. He says we don't need peace. How is that possible? He says Russians don't agree to a freeze along the front line, so we're going to keep fighting.
To continue until they agree to these conditions.
And of course he doesn't speak it, although apparently this character from Kiev doesn't speak Ukrainian either. There is no word for to agree in Ukrainian. There's uzodzuvatishya. If you want to say to coordinate, it's uzodzuvatishya. So they don't wish to agree to these conditions. Ah, well, that's how it is, but look at what this character says next, a few moments later. So they asked him why. Why haven't you joined the armed forces of Ukraine yet?
I'm not in the military because I'm studying. I'm 19 years old, I think that, right now. I'm not needed there.
Yeah, well, something like that. You know, each of those people you want to send running to the front lines, they also think that they're most useful in the rear and not suited for war. Or this person thinks there are people who since childhood have been running around with guns and want to join the army. There are some like that, but very few. Very few. And those who were like that, probably there are almost none of them left. But this person thinks it's better to let others do the dirty work for them. And the most interesting thing is there are plenty of people like that. Probably more than the absolute majority among those who now support the war, both abroad and inside the country. As long as you're not subject to the draft, you shout, "Let's go, let's sink our teeth into the enemy's flesh." As soon as it affects you, it's happened more than once with these various female journalists, well, journalists in general, who were also shouting that everyone should be involved. At the front, it's every citizen's sacred duty to fight for their country. Then suddenly they lose their exemption and start running around whining like, oh, why me? Why is it me? I'm actually more useful to the war effort economically. I'd rather help with money. Anyone would rather support the war effort financially if the issue of mobilization suddenly concerns them.
Because it's not like I really know much about this.
Yeah, everyone else knows everything, I get it. We're dealing with cowardly people, and honestly, it's a disaster for the country. There's something more interesting. Lots of videos are popping up today for some reason. And here we have another female fighter, you know, with battle makeup, war paint, some sort of wannabe Anderson, like a budget version of Pamela Anderson. So basically, she stuck all the possible patches on her car, and by the way, the car isn't even a van. Why I say that, you'll find out later. And now, sorry, there's a lot of swearing in this video. It's not me, I don't use swear words, but, well, there are those who do. Because swearing now is, you could say, a second language in Ukraine, even among journalists. That's how things are.
My morning has already started off well. I'm waiting for someone near this joint, damn it. A saleswoman came out, unhappy that I'm standing here by my car. Why am I standing here? People get scared, they get frightened.
This is called Surgic. It's a mix of Russian and Ukrainian. This is called Surgic, and usually, well, a lot of people use it. Alright, well, it's kind of mixed with swear words, and it just became some kind of perfect newspeak.
People, I don't have my car. I've been standing here 5 minutes. I'm telling you, something's going to hit. Basically, they told each other to fuck off, damn it. I said, just try to come out, you bastard. I'll burn your damn store down right now, bastard.
Well, let's say, for example, this woman is standing here waiting for someone. She's supposedly military, but actually, of course, she's not. Some female volunteer again, collecting money for the army's needs, then driving around in all sorts of Maseratis. Well, you get the idea. And even if that's the case, let's say she came straight from the front. She's standing in front of the store and threatening the saleswoman that she'll burn the store down. In what country, you see, well, they say the Buryats will come and cut everyone down. They'll rape people. Well, here you go. There's a woman standing there threatening another woman who's just doing her job. And on top of that, she's paying taxes from her salary, which go to support fighters like this guy. And she's threatening to burn down her store. So what's the difference then between the so-called Buryats and this so-called blonde fighter? Well, the difference is that you should be more afraid of the blonde because she's right here and she really can do what she's threatening to do. And then they'll punish the saleswoman too, saying she spoke Russian, she threatened someone with Putin. In the end, she'll get in trouble as well. Yeah.
Damn bastards, they've forgotten what war is.
An ordinary person doesn't want to remember what war is like, but honestly, I doubt that this clown even knows what war is. Smooth skin, makeup applied in the morning, hair dyed. Of course, that's all in a frontline tent. Just as you come back from the front line, you immediately freshen up and then you go fully dressed up to wait for someone in front of a store.
In short, the civilians are unbelievable. The civilians are unbelievable. Unbelievable. They all need to be beaten like dogs, damn it.
Well, civilians need to be beaten like dogs, again to use their own slang. I don't even know what to call it. Especially in the Ukrainian language, there's a word, especially osobo, that's not quite it. Well, it's something like that, but with a derogatory meaning. In short, first he says he's going to burn down the store, and second he says that civilians need to be beaten like dogs, because they've gotten out of hand. Well, so who is going to love and respect people like that? Who would, honestly, I'm surprised that anyone still sends money to those anti-Russian hardliners or whatever, or donates to anything like that. Watching videos like these, and there are more and more of them, it's honestly surprising that anyone still does anything for people like that. Well, whatever. So, what's up with that draft office guy, the one people fought back against? That was in Odesa. In Odesa, a man opened fire on TCC employees. According to the Odesa police, the man opened fire with a training revolver at draft office employees during mobilization activities, apparently. They were notifying people again. 4 people are reported injured. One of them was hospitalized, someone's lungs were affected. In general, the man is 32 years old and he opened fire on the draft enforcers. This was reported on August 2nd. One of them was hospitalized with a serious back injury. Well, he was running away, apparently wanted to run fast, something like that. He's already been detained and now there's a criminal case, so at least he won't go to the army, he'll just spend time there. And the criminal case against him is for obstructing the lawful activities of the armed forces of Ukraine and other military formations. The weapon will be sent for examination. They'll study it thoroughly from top to bottom. Next. Well, this is the first disaster. This is an attempt, as we can see, of pseudo-military people interacting with civilians. And you can only imagine, again, and once again I have to say what will happen. When you have these kinds of military people, I'm not talking about normal people. There are, well, about 800,000 military personnel, they tell us, all over Ukraine and at the front. And among them, naturally, there are a few percent with all sorts of issues. Well, I'm sure that this special one in that car also has something like that. They'll want some benefits for themselves, something for them. Because we fought, we shed blood, although the ones who will shout about it the most are exactly those who were sitting somewhere near Kiev and waiting for some of their friends near a store. These are the ones who will be the first to shout, "We're the ones who fought, and those over there are draft dodgers." And there will be arguments, both drunk and sober. And all of this, in general, will develop into some kind of social stratification catastrophe. You could say it's when one layer of society separates from another, and none of it mixes together. On the contrary, it conflicts. There is a second problem. In Ukraine, in just 6 months, more than 108,000 debts for utilities have accumulated. That's just 6 months, and 65,000 out of those 108,000 are still open, unpaid. More and more of these kinds of services remain unpaid. And this problem is becoming more and more pressing for the Ukrainian budget, as if everything is fine there already. So, in short, here's what we're told. As of the beginning of June, there are 829,000 outstanding debts for utility services listed in the registry. Almost 62,000 of them are closed, but still unpaid. The oldest open one has been in the registry for more than 9 years. Kharkiv region is in first place, but people there lack money since Kharkiv and its region are essentially near the front line. Second is Dnipropetrovsk region. Third is Mykolaiv region, and also heating supply. People owe the most for that, 43%. Of all new debts in 2026, 18% is for water supply, and there will be even more of them in Anguille. Why? Because utilities keep getting more expensive. In the near future, they're already saying gas, hot water, and heating will go up soon. At first, all of this was postponed until after the war, but the powerful leader said that we will fight, or if they come at us, we will bomb. And as a result, everything keeps increasing. Under pressure from rising local expenses, they began to review water and sewer rates, garbage removal, and building maintenance. We're told prices are supposed to be reviewed regularly, but of course no one will actually do it, so everything will keep increasing. And in February 2026, water and sewer rates increased. Mostly prices have doubled or even tripled. Just think about that. Doubled or tripled. Not just by 30 or 40%, but right away by 200 or 300%. It's just insane. Meanwhile, the head of the National Bank tells us that the hryvnia won't depreciate. Everything will be fine. The exchange rate won't skyrocket. And we're being told that Ukraine's gold and foreign currency reserves could reach a record 70 billion. They could reach that, I don't even know how. But a person could theoretically live up to 1,200 years? Well, purely theoretically? Theoretically, why not? Or suddenly we could lift off from the ground and fly. Well, there's some chance of that too. And in the end, yes, they might achieve it or they might not. Well, wonderful. Great analysis from a financial expert. At the same time, we're told that the global economy continues to be influenced by tight monetary policy. Well, and accordingly in Ukraine, probably under the threat of all this, they also predict that there will be a slight drop. The hryvnia will fall, but for some reason they say just a little. Because there are still 4 powerful leaders in this photo, but one of them is already gone, the one with the duck lips. And the one under threat is this tall, tan gentleman on the right, and then there's the not-so-tan gentleman in the middle. Second from the left, that's Monsieur Macron. Anyway, both will probably leave soon, and that's it. As a result, the coalition might fall apart. For some reason, they write that it might die slowly. But most likely it will just collapse with a loud noise. And there will be one character left on the left whom you know well. The Telegraph writes about this, and says that 2 leaders put an end to it. Leaders. I'm curious about that too. The leaders' popularity, yes. Between London and Paris to take on a key role in Europe. Who is that? Starmer took on a key role in Europe. Oh my god. The diplomatic alliance united more than 3 dozen countries to support Ukraine. That's what we call a key role in Europe. But after Starmer leaves, and considering that Macron won't be able to run in the presidential elections, there are concerns about a leadership vacuum next year. Excuse me, but when one leader has 7%, another has 11%, and the third, whatever he has, 13%, this can't be called leadership. This is exactly a leadership vacuum. And most likely that's Macron. You could call it a vacuum of administrative and managerial abilities and capabilities, which are necessary to save the European Union itself, without even considering Ukraine anymore. Right now, honestly, it's getting really scary. You look at what's happening there in Germany, and even in Spain, things aren't going smoothly either. But overall, Spain is resisting all this madness. And so far, it's doing more or less successfully, even though Spain is not the richest country. But those countries that used to be the driving force of European economic progress, something is really wrong with them now. And this isn't about a leadership vacuum at all. Here it's about a vacuum of people who are first of all capable of thinking rationally, and secondly able to implement their plans, provided of course that these plans are well thought out. And thirdly, who have some administrative experience in managing large groups of people or enterprises. At the very least, they understand what the economy is and can communicate normally with other people, including powerful leaders from other countries. Because apparently, judging by how even Zelensky quarreled with a lot of people in a short time, well, it would be better to have a person who knows how to talk to people, but he is just not the right one. Well, in short, all these representatives of the coalition of the lustful are also worried here. That in both ruling parties of Germany there are people who are ready to negotiate with Moscow and return to business as usual with Russia after the war in Ukraine is over. Well, overall, that's how it will be. Sooner or later, naturally, everything will go back to the way it was, unless we all perish in nuclear fire, turning into that very ash from which machines rise, like in Terminator. Well, and there are already those who refuse right now to take part in this questionable scheme, like Tusk, who rejected participation in the potential deployment of troops in Ukraine because of Poland's proximity to Russia. They have elections too, the Poles also hold elections. In short, this so-called powerful coalition has big problems. Most likely only Stubb will remain there. And Stubb, he's quite something on his own, with his head in the clouds, so we'll see what comes out of all this. Let's look at the powerful leaders here. There are several, including Yojin Spazin. I'll show him to you now. The sketch is old, from the 70s or maybe even the 80s, I think. It's a funny sketch with Yojin Spazin. Josi Spicy Yojin Spazin. And here we have our own, so to speak, one of a kind. Well, let's take a look at him. Here is this mighty warrior who apparently spent yesterday battling booze.
Josi Spicy.
Having reached for them today, he unbuttoned his shirt and bravely tells us what needs to be done at the front.
Josin Spazin.
Many avoid joining the army because they fear dying, Yojin.
Wow, that's some analysis. That's a twist. Okay, I need to put on the power glasses that protect a person from such singing.
Everyone understands perfectly well that there is chance, and you can die either in the rear or at the front. For this,
Chance at the front, uncle, there. That's not chance. It's the highest probability of dying if you're on the front line. If uncle knows the word pattern, then that's exactly what it's called, not just randomness. But, you know, in the morning, obviously it's tough. It'd be better to have some air in here instead of philosophizing about the rear, about the war, but uncle is trying, so...
Let's say you serve for 3 years, and after 3 years you'll get released, and the poor guy...
Well, the person is really in bad shape. Why not send him to recover at the front then? Well, I think he might not be 60, but judging by his appearance, our life is hard, but still. You know that meme when I'm 16 years old and the vampire says, but you don't look 16. Well, life was hard. So maybe he's 38, for example, but looks like... Well, anyway, he should sign the contract and check his patterns.
I'm talking about 1 year. A large number of people, they returned to the front. Why? Because the life they'd grown used to, their comrades, the front, the drive to defeat the enemy, mattered more. The fear of death no longer mattered.
Yeah? Wow, a real expert. I'm curious, how does someone like this guy know about that? Alright, if it were a soldier talking about this, there would be some truth to it. But when someone like this, and I'm not afraid to use the word, a real piece of work, not in feathers but in a light blue shirt, starts talking, well, it makes you think. Because, well, how would someone like that know what's happening out there on the front lines? Did he read it in something by Erich Maria Remarque, all three of them at once, or each one separately? Yes, I know it's one person, thanks for the comments. Write what you think about Erich Maria Remarque and about other writing teams for writers who are just wonderful. That's all for now.
The question was about helping with reconstruction after the war, and that Russia wants to help. And they
have to give us money. Yeah, they can give us money for this, and we will rebuild everything that we need to rebuild, and we will decide what to do.